Hey, everybody, it's Thursday, and tonight Molly and I will be going to the Warriors game.
Yay!
Pretty good seat, so if you are looking at the Warriors bench, look just to the right, and we might have pretty good seats tonight for game one. Go Dubs. But
God,
a big show today.
day.
What do we got on deck for today, Molly?
Big show today. We're going to start with just a little bit of a news update that broke after we stopped recording yesterday, which I hate it when that happens, but it allows us to have a slightly more nuanced conversation about Sheryl Sandberg leaving Meta after 14 years. Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to go on to talk to our friend Lon Harris. It is This Week in Streaming Thursdays. And so we are going to go all in on Obi-Wan Kenobi and the first 3 episodes. Lots of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to want to save this episode until you catch up. And episode 3 is a doozy. We also talk about maybe the racism issue in the Star Wars community. Is it representative of something bigger? And then what happened in the sequels and in this show? It's a complicated discussion, but a good one. And we'll also touch on the Court TV streaming success of, or this the crazy numbers for the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, which is thankfully over. It's going to be a great show.
What is happening in society? Stick with us.
It's going to be a great show with some dystopian moments.
Stick with us.
Stick with us. Yes. I'm going to say stick with us. Yeah.
Stick with us.
I'm going to say stick with us, for sure.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Vanta. Compliance and security shouldn't be a deal breaker for startups to win new business. Vanta makes it easy for companies to get a SOC 2 report fast. Twist listeners can get $1,000 off for a limited time at vanta.com/twist. Masterworks. Masterworks is the first company allowing investors exposure into the blue chip artwork asset class. Twist listeners can skip the 30,000 person waitlist by going to masterworks.io and using the promo code TWIST. And LinkedIn Talent Solutions. A business is only as strong as its people, and every hire matters. Go to linkedin.com/twist and get a $50 credit towards your first job post.
Before we get to Lon, let's talk about the breaking news that occurred yesterday. It was funny, too, because there was a Bloomberg article that was like, well, this is like 11 years in the making, but it finally happened.
Yes.
Meta Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg, she, the architect of the business model and all of the good and ill that brought, is leaving the company in the fall after a full 14 years there. She joined, of course, in 2008, built out the ad business, wrote the book Lean In, became the face of things like the Cambridge Analytica scandal, Facebook's handling of election interference and misinformation. Apparently, recently there was a story that said that she allegedly manipulated the Daily Mail not to post a story about her former boyfriend. A complicated, to say the least, legacy, not only at this company, but in this country.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, huge deal. And I was very close friends of her of her husband who passed away, Dave Goldberg, and I am friendly with Sheryl. So just as a slight disclaimer here, and in fact, I texted her last night and just said congratulations on a 14-year run. We're friendly and we're friends, and your husband was a dear friend of mine. So it's complicated. Facebook, I've been super critical of for many years. And Sheryl is an extraordinary executive who helped build Google's ad business and then built Facebook's. And those are the number 1 and the number 2. So in the column of, competency and perhaps, one of the greatest executives in the modern history of Silicon Valley, Sheryl Sandberg's on the short list. If you were to look at COOs and people in operations, not founders, but people who helped founders build companies, she's in the top 2 or 3, along with people like a Tim Cook or a Sundar. There are people who are the people behind the founders who actually build these businesses, and she is a legendary one. And obviously had a lot of influence on culture and women in business and leaning in. Those are all the great things. But Facebook also had a lot of challenging things. And its ability to really handle disinformation, election fraud, all of these things was clearly suboptimal and bad. And I think Zuckerberg's decision-making is horrible. And he made decisions to grow the business And I thought maybe she should have left, as you were referring to in the Bloomberg one, 7 years ago. She also had to be the face of this because, let's face it, Zuckerberg's a horrible communicator. So for many years, she had to go out and take the arrows for decisions Zuck made. And I think people kind of recognize that as well. So I wish her well in her philanthropy and everything else, in her,
what do you
her life.
think that it says about the future of this company? Because we've speculated on this show that maybe Zuckerberg would become executive chairman, or that he would spin out Meta into sort of its own thing and maybe, give Sheryl the CEO title at Facebook, much like Google did with Susan Wojcicki at YouTube. Yeah. And so this to me just feels like, look, if you're a multi-billionaire and you've put your time in and you've taken a lot of arrows and you just want to live your life and live it well and do philanthropy and do whatever else, great, right? You should totally do that. But also when you're dealing with ambitious people, you do wonder if there was a job that she wasn't going to be given.
Well, that's what happened at Google. So I have no idea what's happening here. I have no inside information. I don't talk to Zuck. I rarely talk to Sheryl, but we're friendly. So I don't have any inside information in this case. I'm always very honest with that with the audience. So, but she should have become a board member at Google. She should have been president maybe, or CEO candidate. And I think that's probably why she left there. Sometimes you have to leave a company to get recognized for your unique talent. You might have experienced that yourself, Molly. I don't think it's even a gender-based thing, but it might be more acute for women. I don't know. But a lot of times talent has to leave a place because there's no more slots ahead of them, right? There's a backlog, right? And so the easiest way to move up the ladder is to go jump onto another ladder and go one rung up. And I think that's what she did at Facebook, right? She became the number 2, where at Google, it was a little bit of a Game of Thrones there for a bit. Marissa Mayer, Solar. There were a lot of different people, Susan Wojcicki, who were in the running for different departments. And, I guess that causes some air traffic control in the executive ranks. So, I think it clearly shows that Zuckerberg wants to run this.
Yeah.
I think Zuckerberg probably feels, with the pullback in the stock, with everybody hating on him, with, the scrutiny they're under, that maybe he needs to just rule with an iron fist and be in charge. And, for society writ large, I think it's probably a loss because I have a feeling she was the rudder that was probably protecting Zuckerberg from bad decisions. So as much as people would be critical of her, I actually think the story might be, if she wasn't there, this thing would have been 10 times worse. And the bad behavior would have been worse. And, policing the system would have been worse. She's a good actor. I believe, knowing her, and always tried to do the right thing. I think she didn't have the power and the final decision to do the right thing. That falls on Zuck, who is the God King, who not only controls whatever decision making, Sheryl wanted to make, he controls the board. So he answers to no one. And so,
and he, by every single whistleblower account, by every internal account, by every named employee account, made all of the decisions around, right? Prioritize the engagement no matter what. Yes, targeted advertising, the business model that she built, it got to become an out of control monster, right? It violates people's privacy. It incentivizes terrible behavior. It distorts reality. There are all of these things that are issues when you build targeted advertising at scale that don't have anything to do with morality specifically. That's an organism that grows out of control becomes dangerous. What we hear over and over and over is that the decision making that caused so much of this harm and exacerbated that harm came from Mark.
Yeah.
And he is now now he's booting generals and consolidating all the power. And so don't buy that fucking metaverse. Don't do it.
There's definitely some, I would be very concerned, if you care about society and the impact social media has on society, I think losing Sheryl is, a big loss. Yeah. If you care about the stock price and you want to have a marauding capitalist, I think, this means that maybe he will become more freewheeling. And yeah. So
And I mean, listen, we
it's
don't
another
know.
situation where somebody in our comments is saying, he gets all the credit and
Well, she's getting all the credit and zero blame. And I think that's a fair
I don't
comment.
know about that. I don't know about that. I think she gets
that's
some
a
blame
fair
for
comment.
being.
I think she should get some blame for this business
she was
model for
there.
Cambridge Analytica. She was there. Like, there's no, if you want to quit and protest and become the whistleblower, you can totally do that. And that did not happen. So I think I maintain what I said at the top of the segment, which is it's always going to be, I think, a complicated legacy for Sheryl Sandberg.
Of course, if she had left before the elections, that would have been better. And I think she would have been amazing as a politician. I think she would have run for president eventually. I think she would have been Secretary of State or something like that. If Hillary had won, I think I could see her leaving her post earlier and then, being in the government. She started in government, is my understanding. And so, and now you have to wonder, is it too hard now for her to go into politics? Because, my God, Facebook was such a disaster at times. And so
there's a stink.
Yeah, I think that could, but I mean, maybe better ultimately because a life in politics sounds pretty brutal.
Also terrible.
Terrible.
Well, on that note, now that Darth Vader has completely cemented his control of Meta, let's talk about Star Wars, shall we?
Yes, yeah. Here we go. This week in streaming with Lon Harris up next.
So it is really important for founders to understand what SOC 2 compliance is. Basically, I'm just going to dumb it down real quick. If you are a SaaS or a services company and you need to store customer data in the cloud, then you need to be SOC 2 verified from a third party in order to close major customers. If you're not SOC 2 compliant, you cannot close big deals. Okay, we got that out of the way, but here's the thing. SOC 2 verification is brutal. It is time-consuming, tedious, and expensive, or at least it was. But now there's Vanta. Vanta's software makes it way easier to get and renew your SOC 2 compliance. On average, Vanta customers are SOC 2 compliant in just 2 to 4 weeks. That's compared to 3 to 5 months without Vanta. You don't have that kind of time. You're running a startup here. And Vanta partners with over 24 audit firms who have been trained to file SOC 2 reports directly within Vanta. And here's the best part. Vanta is going to give you $1,000 off. Get $1,000 off at vanta.com/twist. That's vanta.com/twist for $1,000 free dollars.
Hey, everybody. It's Thursday. That means this week in streaming, the unofficial new show /segment with our pal, Lon Harris. How you doing, Lon?
I'm pretty good. I feel like it's very official at this point. It's official.
It's really official.
In my heart, it's official.
I mean, we have to make another stream and just call it this week in streaming.
Exactly.
I guess we got to start with Obi-Wan.
Let's start with Obi-Wan.
We're 3 episodes in.
I'm wearing my Star Wars shirt.
Oh, my Lord.
Nice.
Where do I begin? I think I am absolutely loving it. I am thrilled. There are things I could criticize, but for sake, the 3rd episode, and this is going to be super spoiler. So if you haven't seen Obi-Wan, just fast forward 15 minutes. But this is we're here to talk about spoilers. This is the most sadistic, insane Darth Vader that we have seen to date. Period. Full stop. It is absolutely this last episode. Whatever problems people have with the first 2 episodes, I think you have to look at Darth Vader walking down a street, randomly cracking children's necks, dragging Obi-Wan through burning fire and saying, like, your pain is just starting. Like, I'm going to torture you forever.
Yeah.
And you didn't think Darth Vader could be more terrifying. And I think this is the most terrifying I've ever felt about Darth Vader. Lon, Molly, am I crazy or just reliving my youth?
I think what's
going on here?
Rogue One, if you'll recall that movie, they had that one scene that fans really took to that was like a horror movie where it's like there's the few rebel soldiers and they're stuck in that little corridor and then Darth Vader comes in and it's just like Jason Voorhees. He's just like murdering them, taking them out. And everybody loved that scene so much. Obviously, that was in their minds when they were like, let's put Darth Vader in the show. But I think this even does take it up to the next level. And they really, we've only, we got we went back to the prequels, which was this, here's Anakin Skywalker before he became Darth Vader. And then, Return of the Jedi is this sort of redemptive story. So we've only really ever had a little pocket of time when Darth Vader was really like at his peak level of evil. And it's fun. Yeah, it's fun that they're getting to like live in that world where it's just like he's the ultimate supervillain.
And also, 3 little words, people: James Earl Jones.
Yeah. I mean,
I was like,
great.
oh my freaking God, it's actually Darth Vader. Like, it's so, as fan service, it's phenomenal. And yeah, like we've only encountered Darth Vader like after he's already hella scary.
Yeah.
Slightly on the decline, right? There are like
he's an old man. He's an old man.
He's an old man, and there are hints that there's this kind of rebellion against his kind of like Jedi, but they're just like whatever old witch Jedi, man,
Yeah.
And then he's redeemed, and this is just like, oh my God,
yeah,
he is beyond.
I also love that
evil.
Yeah, they talk a little bit about Star Wars is kind of like it's like a poem. It rhymes. Like you take stuff from the old stuff and then work it into the new stuff. And the lightsaber battle really feels like those original trilogy Darth versus Luke, where it's because it's character development while they're having the battle. And also, I felt like they did a little bit in the performance where he's kind of toying with Obi-Wan. Like it's almost like the Empire Strikes Back battle where he knows he could easily kill Luke if he wanted to.
He's playing with his food.
And he's toying with him and letting him kind of get a little bit ahead and then striking back. And it's delightful. I thought it was
delightful. And he doesn't,
really great.
When Darth Vader's like, oh, Obi-Wan's escaping, it's like, There's some things like logically you have to think through because you have to talk about the fight scene because the first 2 episodes you're like, okay, where are the lightsabers? Like are we going to have 6 episodes of no lightsabers? Because this is Star Wars. This is Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. And so I thought this was coming in episode 6. So brilliant.
Most of us thought they would kick this to the end. Yeah.
And we thought this would be the buildup, right? We're going to have 5 episodes where he doesn't turn on the lightsaber. And then on the 6th one, he's magically the greatest Jedi again, and Ewan McGregor puts up a good fight. Nope. Episode 3.
Gets his ass kicked.
He gets his ass handed to him. Yeah. You have not been practicing. You're out of touch. You've got PTSD, clearly. And I am now going to torture you the way I was tortured. And that's when you're like, wow, he's on Mustafar, the planet.
Yeah.
Looking out, I kind of had this thing. I'm like, why is he on Mustafar? Like, and it's like, oh yeah, this is where his pain and suffering happen. Being a Sith is about pain and suffering.
Exactly. It's about embracing your hate, Yeah.
Yes. When he says, turning to the dark side, embrace your hate. The Emperor always is, egging people on to just
what he did.
lean in to our other story that will be coming up today. You want to lean into that dark side. And my Lord, he leaned in. He's like, yes, I got burned alive and lost a limb. And now I'm going to drag you through fire so you can feel what it's like to have your flesh melt off of your body.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. But here's the thing. It makes no logical sense that because he extinguishes the fire, right? Instantly with his force power.
Obi-Wan to
and he allows Obi-Wan to go. It's like, wait, you just lifted Obi-Wan in the air. You just dragged him fire. Why don't you just lift Obi-Wan's body back to you and take him to torture him some more? So it's like, well, there's some logic problem here, but I'm going to forgive it because it's clear he wants to extend this, torturous relationship and make Obi-Wan suffer until he's in a bacta tank with one of 4 limbs. I mean, this is where this sadistic, insane, this is, a level of sadism that you didn't even know Darth Vader have. Like, what have we seen Darth Vader do? Cut off Luke's hand, force choke people.
Right.
Okay. And he's really arguably not even the one who he didn't have the idea to blow up Alderaan. Like, yes, they developed the Death Star and whatever, but he's not the guy who gives the order to destroy Alderaan.
That's Tarkin, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Tarkin is the guy who blows up Alderaan.
So a lot of crime is sort of laid on Darth Vader in the background and in the buildup to the movies that we have seen. But this is like, oh yeah, no, he is horrible.
Okay, wait, so we got Darth Vader. Amazing performance.
I mean, that was thrilling.
Peak Darth Vader for me was not what I expected. I kept my expectations super low on this because Boba Fett didn't hit a lot of notes. Mandalorian hit all the notes. So now they're sending me on this roller coaster. I'm like, it's not like Marvel where like, I don't know what the run of Marvel was, but I can't remember like the Marvel movie I was disappointed in during that super stretch. And here I was like, Boba Fett, I really wanted to root for it. We talked about it here. But it was like a 7 of 10 for me, where Mandalorian was 10. This thing's like 12 for me now. Like this is just blown away my expectations.
That episode really hit for me. And I was, and I'll be curious to know what I'm loving everything about little Leia setup in terms of.
Okay, that was my next question. Yeah, let's go Leia.
Like, and yet, old guy and annoying kid romp and adventure is like not my favorite genre. So I wasn't sure about 1 and 2. I was like, I'm here for it because it's very satisfying to build up this understanding of why Leia would go to Obi-Wan, right? Like the building of the relationship and learning a little more about Leia and how she's force sensitive. Like that's all very exciting. But also like a 10-year-old kid is annoying. I think we can all agree.
Well, the running through the woods and not getting captured in that episode. It's like, come on,
there's
guys.
A lot of kind of goofy looking action in all the Star Wars things.
I was like, come on.
People tend to pick it apart.
All the fight scenes are so weirdly slow in those first 2 episodes. Like it's almost like a slow-mo, like you can sort of see.
I think that's
all right. So tell me what you think of Leia. That's what
I really like the Leia thing. I thought I really liked how they leaned in very purposefully on making us think that this was going to be about Obi-Wan and Luke. Like they even announced, here's the young actor playing Luke before the show, and they released those early photos of here's him watching Luke. And then that was a nice, fake out that it's actually him and young Leia that we didn't really, we thought of her. She's with the Organas on Alderaan. She's fine. You wouldn't have thought of that. So I thought that was a clever thing to do. I love this young actress. She's precocious. She's a young girl. It could be a little chirpy and annoying. I get that. But I do feel like this is a very realistic depiction of what Princess Leia's character would have been like as a 10-year-old girl. She would have been very bossy.
Nailed it.
She would have been
she's just like her.
Yeah, a lot of attitude. Like she's playing young Carrie Fisher perfectly. I think. Yes.
She looks like her. The outfits are totally reminiscent. The hair is perfect. Like I should be clear. I'm saying I'm happy that the series is evolved. I did not want 6 episodes of them running through planets and having adventures, right?
And so I mean, that was also, if you'll recall, this was originally going to be a movie. The original Obi-Wan concept was pitched as a 2-hour film. And then they were like, no, forget that. We're going to do it as a Disney Plus show. But then Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who do Mandalorian and Ahsoka, Boba Fett, all the other Disney Plus Star Wars shows, they said, this is too similar to Mandalorian. You have to mix it up. So, and I think you could still tell. They rewrote it. They made it less like Mandalorian, but it is still functionally, it's that Shane, Lone Wolf and Cub, Logan. Totally. I mean, we've seen this story a whole bunch of times.
Protect the child.
The seasoned old warrior comes out of retirement to protect the young child and reconnects with his humanity, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
The problem here isn't with the Obi-Wan story. It's that Mandalorian stole that. This is the Obi-Wan story.
He goes to Tatooine. Natural.
Yes, because he went to Tatooine to look over one of the twins, and Bail Organa is supposed to take care of the other, right? That's his name, Bail Organa?
Bail Organa, that's Jimmy Smits,
Jimmy Smits, who's great.
Which what a delight to see him.
So fun to see him back. And who else? It does make sense. If something did happen to Leia, well, who else would Bail Organa go to? There's really not that many Jedi left. Well,
Yoda is really old.
On Dagobah at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't be more satisfying. Like, I want to be clear. So I'm sort of saying, like, I'm happy that it's already evolving in an even more satisfying way already as of episode 3. Like,
they're also so good at filling in. They're so good at filling in these supporting roles with like fun people who you want to see pop up. Like Mandalorian 2, you had Amy Sedaris in like a role.
So great.
Brian Posehn. And this one, I've really enjoyed, Kumail Nanjiani getting in there.
As the fake Jedi.
Flea
as the bounty hunter in the first one. Did you guys catch the guy with the snout in this most recent one was Zach Braff?
Incredible. Yeah, he was funny. And the fact that like he's palling around with stormtroopers and stormtroopers are like grunt workers who are like punching a clock.
I felt like they're giving
that was like a very nice like, okay, we get to
They feel they make them
I
they're
felt
total
like they
cops.
were like cop. Like they gave them like police dialogue in this episode.
It was like cops.
It was like cops. Like, where we got to go now? These guys don't know what
get
they're
some
doing.
donuts. Another day.
Exactly,
It's just like they're going through their routine.
Right.
And of course, they're hassling civilians, of course. And
they are.
Breck's like friendly MAGA. Who doesn't like a little order?
Yeah. That was pretty MAGA moment.
A little light tyranny.
Yeah.
Little light tyranny. Who doesn't like a little order that's a nice pull. Yeah.
Right.
We're going to explore this also in Andor, which is the other series.
Oh my God. Did you see the trailer for Andor yet, Molly?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my God. It is next level. It's like no other Star Wars world you've seen. It's feels
the prequel to Rogue One, where we're going to follow Diego Luna's character before the events of Rogue One. So it's the formation of the Rebel Alliance, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love everything about this. I mean, honestly, I'm happy to see that Obi-Wan Kenobi is in fact the most watched Disney Plus original. It shows that like commitment to the original characters in some ways, possibly way too much, as we have seen from the fandom.
No.
But that was just a throwaway line because we want to acknowledge it. But it just is like it's perfect. Like it really is for those of us who grew up with this. It's perfect.
In the VC world, we don't settle for small or medium wins. No, we're looking for 100x and up. But in today's down market, it's hard to find the outliers. We all know that. It's hard to find even 20 to 30% appreciation. Stock market has been clobbered. Well, the $1.7 trillion art market is an asset class that is historically uncorrelated with the stock market. In fact, an Andy Warhol just sold for a staggering $195 million. You may have seen it. It's a beautiful painting. And Masterworks is an amazing platform that lets any investor buy shares in blue chip art. In fact, last year, I bought some shares in this Basquiat, one of my favorite artists, on Masterworks. And you can see it on the screen if you're watching. It's just a gorgeous painting, and I own a little piece of it. Masterworks has already sold 3 paintings and realized 30% net annualized returns each time. So this is no longer theoretical that they're going to buy these paintings and hope to get a return. The returns are actually happening. So congratulations to the team at Masterworks. I met with them recently. What a great team. Skip the waitlist and receive the JCal VIP treatment. Go to masterworks.com/twist for priority access. See important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.io/disclaimer. We have to talk about, I think, the sequels and the fact that Star Wars fans, some number of them are horrible and don't like black Star Wars characters to the point at which the Star Wars Twitter handle has to remind people to not be racist pieces of garbage. What is happening, Lon? I
think we have one in our chat right now saying it's just a social justice warrior show.
Oh no!
You're gonna want to go now because it's gonna get worse for you, friends.
It's gonna get super woke in here right now.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I don't want to be woke. I don't want to be.
I don't.
There's like woke on this side and there's racist on this side. Like it's a sci-fi movie. Can we be normal, everybody?
I think we make a mistake sometimes where we refer to this idea of the Star Wars fandom or the Star Wars community as if it's like a community that you could put a dome over and say these are. You're talking about hundreds of millions, maybe billions of people.
It's everybody.
Everybody loves Star Wars. I mean, listen, it's not everybody. There are some people who don't care about Star Wars.
Most people. It was
a lot of people.
It created the blockbuster concept along with Jaws, correct?
Yes, and there
it's
very
literally
few,
crossover.
There are very few other IPs that you can't even really talk about the community in any rational way because it's just too many people. So of course, any group that's that big is going to contain awful people and mean people and racists and aggressive, whatever. I don't think it's necessarily a reflection of Star Wars. I think it's a reflection of how many people around the world love Star Wars.
It's a law of big numbers.
When you're talking about numbers that big, you're going to have a cross-section of the fandom that is,
Moses
lame.
Ingram is an African-American woman playing the third. Is it the third sister?
Third sister.
Yes, third sister.
Third sister is the name of Reva.
They're all hierarchical. There's the Grand Inquisitor, and then they're all named like fourth brother, fifth brother, like sister. Where they are in the lineup.
They're not Sith. Sith operate alone. And they operate as some sort of group of monks that do bidding, and they're hunting the Jedi.
My understanding, this is covered in the Clone Wars cartoons, which I'm not as good with.
And Rebels too,
Right, Rebels as well. My understanding is that some of them were Jedi who were converted, and that others are just Force-sensitive people that the Empire taps to come
and Moses
in and become
is clearly, and his third sister is, in all likelihood, the Padawan we saw escaping from the Jedi Temple. I think that's a smart guess.
In that first episode.
Everybody's talking about this theory. So again, we're going to talk about theories, but that's pretty obvious. And that maybe Obi-Wan or Anakin, she's got some animus towards them, or both of them. Who knows where this is going to wind up by episode 6, but she's kind of an interesting, annoying, abrasive character to everybody. She's on her own mission here. She is pissing off the Grand Inquisitor, in fact, stabbing him with a lightsaber. And she's pissing off the brother because she wants credit for stuff. And
fifth brother, I believe, is the guy with the hat.
She's taking people's hands off.
Starring in her own revenge movie. And no one else is invited. Yeah,
exactly. So
I thought this was a fun twist.
I don't love her character, but I think I don't love her character because you're not supposed to love her character because she's a jerk.
She's mean.
She's mean. She's like taking people's arms off.
But I think that's what I like about it. Star Wars has so many deliciously evil villains. Your Count Dooku's, where it's like or Grand Moff Tarkin, but they love being evil, and it's a point of pride with them, and they're vainglorious about it.
Darth Maul comes to mind.
Exactly. It's theatrically evil. And I like that she's not that. She's just like a jerk. Like, she's just like if you worked with somebody you didn't like and they were like
like an
third sister a-hole. Again, we got to go through this now. She's just obnoxious and awful and like
all the time.
Bully, not like, like a, Darth Sidious type figure.
There's something, and there is something clearly deeper to her, right? Like, very likely she was that Padawan, very likely, because didn't Obi-Wan tell the rest of the Jedi not to go in? Like, I think she probably is like, I'm after him personally because he abandoned us to this death and horror.
Yes, that would make sense.
They're hinting around she's got ambition that we don't fully understand. And like Darth Vader assumes it's to become Grand Inquisitor, but I think
maybe not.
He's pretty good at reading people.
There's some level below that.
Did you see in that third episode? So they're in that kind of hidey hole where Obi-Wan sees a message from another Jedi who had gone to the dark side and then had turned back
Quinlan
to
Voss.
the light.
Yeah, Quinlan
Thank you. But she sees something in there too.
I thought she saw the Rebel logo.
It's a Jedi logo.
It's a Jedi logo. Okay.
I believe it's a Jedi insignia. It could be a Rebel. I think it's too early for there to be a universal Rebel insignia at this point.
I thought it was the Rebel insignia.
I thought it was a Jedi thing because she definitely reacted to that.
It definitely triggered her.
It definitely triggered her, and I think it was more than just I hate the Jedi, right? Like, it was more than that. She's not, I will say that, sort of separate from all the horrific racist hate that she's experienced online, I don't find her to be the most expressive actor. Like,
I mean, I do think that's
I want a little more there. And so then when I saw her
the Inquisitors are very, steely.
Yeah. I know.
It's hard, it's hard to talk about her performance because we don't want to egg on the
exactly because there's been so much of garbage hate, right?
And then this, of course, triggers the discussion of the sequels.
According to Screen Rant, to close the loop on that, the symbol is none other than the crest of the Jedi Order.
Got it. Okay, so she's super triggered.
Thanks,
is she going to try to kill Darth Vader? You think she's going to try to kill Darth Vader?
I mean, I think
she wants to get close to him.
Yes, there is definitely a level on which she is using this Obi-Wan thing to rise in the ranks because she has some kind of ulterior motive. Now,
double agent.
Maybe it's that she wants to kill, because that would make sense if she was there when Order 66 happened. She blames Darth Vader for ruining her life, killing everybody. Yeah. It could be, but you'd have to think, is there? I don't know. It seems like a lot of work just to get in the same room with him when she was already third sister.
She was
that might have happened organically.
They clearly do not have access to him.
No.
So,
well, we know we've established that he's holed up on Mustafar in that castle.
Like Putin right now. He's at that table and everybody else is like way at the end of the table.
But that's an interesting part of this. This is why I think my theory that she wants to kill Darth Vader She wants to be his number
that's fun.
2.
That's
and then
fun.
what if episode 6 is her having a battle with Darth Vader?
Could be.
Like, that would be a killer lightsaber scene. Like,
That's
I
fun.
mean, I think Darth Vader is going to cut her in half. But
Well,
based on what we've seen,
she can't win because Darth Vader's got to be around for
and
more
so
movies.
her and Darth Vader chopping her up and throwing her in lava, for shits and giggles when she becomes like the Grand Inquisitor, could be super interesting to me, at least. Like,
Something
that would
like
be
this
quite
is
a
coming,
character arc. Maybe she kills all the Inquisitors. Maybe who knows who else she kills. But if she's on her own tip. Like, I think you said it well, Molly. She's on her own revenge. Spring is in the air, people, and there has never been a better time to grow your business. And LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easy to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. We love LinkedIn here at Launch and at Insight. We've hired so many amazing candidates on LinkedIn. And you know what? People take it seriously. If you're posting a job on LinkedIn, people know you're serious. They know it's a great job. And that's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. You can create a free job listing in just minutes, and you'll reach the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Every time I read this ad, it goes up another 10, 20 million people. It's incredible. They're going to be at 1 billion people soon. And now you can add that purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. Did you ever see that where it says hiring and it's in purple? Well, you want to have that on your profile so people know you're hiring. So here's your call to action. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find candidates you want to talk to, and they help you do it faster. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Yeah, they do. And you can post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/twist to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply because they're giving you something for free. That leads us to the sequels. Episodes 7, 8, and 9, where people did complain, oh, it's too woke or whatever. I just want to say, like, because that does relate, because the person who played Finn also received a bunch of hate.
John Boyega and Kelly Marie Tran, who plays
Kelly
Rose
Marie
Tico.
Tran got it much worse, right?
Yeah,
like, we're always like...
Yeah, and I think the issue is that with Rise of Skywalker, they sort of caved. They got all this racist pushback to Finn's character, to Rose Tico, and rather than push through it and say, but this is the story now, like it or lump it, they they pulled back. Kelly Marie Tran's barely in Rise of Skywalker at all. They were clearly setting up that Finn was going to become a Jedi, and then they don't do that. They give him this sort of other story, and it's sort of, they're trying to play it both ways. They're trying to sort of coddle the racists and be like, don't stop watching the movies. But at the same time, we're going to post tweets and have Ewan McGregor go on Twitter like, don't be so racist, you racist. And it's like, you could just tell the stories you want to tell and ignore them. And that's probably what they should do.
Well, it's all convoluted, right? Because you want to have valid criticism you want to do valid criticism here, right? As we're giving hot takes for this. But you also have to recognize that there's this weird thing going on where, they're introducing wokeness or whatever, maybe on the margins, trying to make the cast more diverse. That's fine with me. That's a different world.
Let's not call it wokeness.
Yeah, I just
whatever. They want to make it more diverse.
They're having inclusive casting that's representative of the world
I think everybody wants, right?
Right.
Oh, and all the alien species.
They could go one step further, and that's probably what they should do, because it would communicate to the people who are still pushing back against this. It's over. You lose.
It's over.
You
lost.
Like,
the war's over. You lost.
Right. Like, what if Finn became a Jedi and then the movie ended with him and Rey being together? Why wouldn't we do that? It feels like, well, we don't do that because we know it would make these people.
But there was
very
another
mad.
thing. Well, I think there was another thing happened concurrently. They decided to kill all the characters we love and not tell their stories. And it's like, I showed up for the sequels.
They tried to reboot Star Wars,
which was not what they should have done with the sequels. They should retcon those, throw them in the garbage.
I love Last Jedi. I think Last Jedi is great. Force Awakens,
they make it alternate version where they tell the story of Luke and Leia running the Jedi Academy and Leia becoming a Jedi. That's what I thought I was in for.
I mean, they were going to... Rise of Skywalker, in fairness to J.J. Abrams, and rare that you're going to hear me say that, but here we go. In fairness to J.J. Abrams...
Write this down for all time.
They did want to do more of that. The plan for Rise of Skywalker was to have Carrie Fisher... the idea was Han Solo was the big character we follow in Force Awakens. Luke Skywalker was the big character from the classic trilogy we follow in Last Jedi. And then Rise of Skywalker is supposed to be the General Leia movie, but she passed away. We lost Carrie Fisher. So they had to rejigger the movie and change their plans to use the footage they had. And it is a real shame because I think everybody would have wanted to see that.
I think so too.
So poorly done.
And then it just ended up being this like unbelievably horrible double whammy where they were like, okay, we'll go in this different direction. We'll reboot this. We'll restart fresh, right? Like
who is right? Yeah.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just like wipe the past.
Yeah.
Start new. Everybody's a Slayer now.
It doesn't work. And
people
somehow
were,
Palpatine returns
Palpatine returns is terrible. And who is Rey? Exactly. I still don't have clarity. Is Rey supposed to be a clone?
I really liked Rian Johnson's thing in Last Jedi that her family isn't important. She's not from anywhere.
She's just a Force sensitive.
She's not a Skywalker. To be this person who is very Force sensitive, who came at the right moment in time and became important.
It's just random.
Right. And like, I like that. I think Star Wars needs a little more of that. It's very much like, historical king's line of whatever. And it's a little bit of a weird thing at this point. It would be nice if there were a few people who just came out of obscurity and became very powerful. And I hate that they retconned that. I really wish they had not. I agree.
Right. Like the ending becomes
incredibly muddled because they retconned that.
Exactly. And then they chickened out. Right. They chickened out and lost that. It was like, if you're all in on this story, then go in. But then they chickened out. They left these actors out to dry.
Oh,
John
100%.
Boyega and
poor Kelly Marie Tran barely gets to be in it at all. She's got one scene where she's like, I'm going to stay here. You guys go have an adventure. And then she's not in the movie. They
hang them out to dry and don't acknowledge that at least part of the reason that they did that was racist backlash, right? They're just like, oh, people didn't like the story. And then now they're like, it's a bad situation for the actors. It's a bad situation for Disney, and it's a lack of leadership. Exactly.
It was a lack of leadership. They did, this is the thing. George Lucas was an auteur with a vision, and then they gave this to J.J. Abrams. They kind of begged him to do it, and then you had Rian Johnson, and then I don't know who did the last one.
J.J. Abrams again. J.J. Abrams came back to do
and it was just
Rise of
I don't know that J.J. Abrams had a vision here,
No, the vision was, oh no, the internet got mad. Let's just do what the internet wants, I think. And that's really
pretty much. And that's always a bad way to tell stories.
I mean, it feels like Reddit edited the movie. And it's just like, no, you can't do that. And they're trying to even do the Avengers Endgame thing at the end. Like every Star Wars ship from every timeline is going to portal in. And it's like, just stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah, the whole thing was a mess.
A mess.
Chris Terrio, the same screenwriter as Batman v Superman and Justice League.
Oh, great.
Keep
them away from any other IP.
What a filmography.
Yeah.
Please don't touch things anymore.
Do you think that what they're going to do with Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett in this time period this is my theory, and I did talk to Jon Favreau and I did pitch him on this. And I said, like, why don't you just tell the new story of what happened after Return of the Jedi, since you're kind of on that way. And of course, Luke Skywalker showing up. It's kind of like we now have Grogu, who obviously is going to go be in part of Luke's training center. I think they have this like almost a path of reconciliation with the fans like me who wanted to see the Carrie Fisher story, want to see it recast Carrie Fisher or use the CGI. I felt like the Luke Skywalker stuff is close to the Uncanny Valley for me.
Kathleen Kennedy said they're not going to recast. They felt like the lesson they took from Solo, which was not a hit.
Do well.
People don't want to see different acters they don't know as these characters.
Okay with Solo. I was okay with him.
I disagree with her. I don't love Solo, but I don't think that's the takeaway. I think you could feel free to recast, but they're not going to do that. I don't think they're going to totally redo the sequel movies, but I think they're going to do exactly what they did with the prequels, which is this is what Dave Filoni, the guy who did the Clone Wars show,
filled in everything. Yes.
This is what he's so good at. He's going to fill in all of the weird gaps and make it a better story with the supplemental materials. And then people will get excited about it because they like the supplemental materials. It's exactly what happened with the prequels. Everybody was down on the prequels, but now everybody loves that same
Clone Wars is so great. It fills everything in with the Mandalorian War. Yeah,
exactly. And added all these characters people love. Added all of this stuff that helps to sort of buttress the storytelling of the movies where it kind of starts to feel inconsistent or fall apart. Like you can fill in, Obi-Wan had this relationship with Padme, which helps explain why they're closer at the end of Sith. Or, oh, here's what happened to Anakin that kind of gave him this attitude readjustment that he just shows up with suddenly. And I feel like I'm very confident that Filoni is going to be able to do the same thing with the later ones. Like, as much as
Should they do Princess Leia?
It's satisfying,
CGI, like have her daughter play her and then just CGI it a bit and try to get the Uncanny Valley thing going?
I feel like we'll get some beats like this moving forward. I doubt they're totally done with doing that, especially because the fan response was so positive to doing it with Mark Hamill, and they've had so much success with it. I feel like there's no stopping them now. Did it work for you?
Did you get thrown out of the film? You're 90%, 80%?
I'm always going to be partial to just recast. You just find a guy like, to me, Sebastian Stan, who plays Winter Soldier in the MCU. If you put him in the right wig, he looks remarkably like Mark Hamill.
Yes.
To me, I would just like put him in there. He's Luke Skywalker now. He looks like it works for me. I felt the same way about Rogue One, where they did Peter Cushing. They like cartooned him to be Tarkin in that one.
Yeah.
Right.
What about Charles Dance from Game of Thrones? Tywin Lannister is the perfect Grand Moff Tarkin.
Like him.
I would love to see him play Grand Moff Tarkin.
It's more interesting to do that.
It is.
They did it with Obi-Wan. They gave Ewan McGregor.
It's always going to be more fun to me to have an actor, flesh and blood.
I'm sorry, they're not going to recast.
You're right. Like, we're literally watching a whole series that's been recast, and nobody's mad because we're like, he's younger.
So,
that makes perfect sense.
And Leia's not being played by Carrie Fisher de-aged.
I'm certain that Disney's going to hear this and take the notes. I feel confident.
Take the notes, Kathleen.
I hope Kathleen Kennedy listens to Twitch.
Take the notes,
recast Luke and Leia and let's go. And let's tell their story. That would be the next
little
big
Leia.
service.
We're ready for middle Leia.
We didn't get
let's
to Star Trek, but let's do all 5 Star Trek next time. So we can do them. This has been great, Lon.
We can't mix the stars.
No, they can't cross the streams.
Cross the star streams, that's bad.
The only thing I'll say to preview our discussion about Star Trek is I thought it was like particularly weird in science fiction to have this racist weirdness happening when you have Uhura is the subject of episode 2 of the new Star Trek series, which is Star Trek
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. And I'm 2 in, you guys are 5 in. For me, I'm kind of digging it, but I'm excited to hear that you guys think it gets better. But we're literally talking about Uhura was a groundbreaking moment for television and for science fiction in 1960.
Yeah, but nerds have the memory of there's no cultural memory here.
70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
Well, you saw there were people
the 20s.
There were people complaining that Strange New Worlds is too woke. Didn't you see that? There have been like, why is Star Trek woke now? Because
Star Trek was the ultimate. That's been the idea, is that they've always been society. They've been ahead of society, and he's used.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that at this point, if you're not just straight up Darth Vader, then you're woke.
Well, exactly.
Like that. I'm sorry. That's what it's like, right?
The
like,
term
I'm just like,
has become a catch-all to mean anything
do you mean
that I don't
so
like.
We should cast a person for James Bond who's not English.
It's not casting. They would even be mad about the story then. Like, it's like, you can't, there's no appeasing.
I would be cool with a series on Amazon, because we're talking about the streaming wars here. Mm-hmm. And now Bezos bought MGM, which owns James Bond.
But it's a little hairy. You got to make deals with the Broccolis on the side.
Yeah,
still. They don't just own it outright.
That's not a simple.
They're splitting it with Eon Productions.
Got it. I would be totally cool with anybody having the 007 moniker.
Did you see No Time to Die? Lashana Lynch is 007. It works great. Totally believable as 007.
007 was still in it, so it wasn't like...
Right.
I'm saying if they wanted to do another 007 movie with her, do it.
I'm okay with it.
Works for me.
Who's not okay with it? It's like interesting. It's interesting to try different things.
Racists and misogynists.
I'm also okay with it being an English dude again. I'm fine with that too. I mean, I guess Ian Fleming's books, if they're based on his books, it's based on that character, but you can't be, it's acting, folks. You could have different characters. Also, it's fiction.
They are
fiction
already so different. Have you ever read a Bond novel? They're great. I really like them. The movies are already extremely different. Like the early Connery ones are closer, but still not. Still, it always was. The movies have always been campier and a little sillier. The books have always tried to be more gritty, and So it's already different. You can change
you can do different things. It just got to be high quality. I think that's the bottom line.
I agree.
Pick good actors, big story writers. And that's why Obi-Wan works.
Racist and sexist will still be mad no matter how good the actors are.
We just need to ignore them. Like, who cares? Yeah, just ignore them. They're not relevant. Yeah.
Don't react, right? Like, don't change your stories for the worst people in the world.
Right. And the idea that you would be able to come up with a middle ground that would appease them. Like, we're going to make a diverse show that's inclusive, but we're not going to offend. It's not possible. You can't
and what percentage of people is this anyway? Like, what is the overlay of Star Wars fans to raise us at 1%?
They're just really good at internet. If we have seen anything,
that's what it is. They're really good at internet. And Twitter, they're such mega trolls.
Yeah. They know how to make themselves appear very big and loud. Yeah. But when you get down to the numbers, we saw this. Oh boy, people are going to be mad at me for saying this. We saw this with the Snyder Cut stuff.
Yes.
Where the noise behind that campaign was so loud. It was deafening. It was everybody. Warner Brothers couldn't tweet without a flood of responses that were just demanding the Snyder Cut. And then it came out, and it's not even among the 5 most viewed movie debuts of that year on HBO Max.
Yep.
That group was not potent enough to make these movies $1 billion box office. It just felt that way because they were so noisy.
Twitter. It's a Twitter phenomenon. It's a Twitter / Reddit phenomenon. They probably have a bunch of bot accounts. It's probably it's probably 2 dudes. It's probably 2 dudes with 8,000 accounts, and they've just created their own bot army.
100%.
Yes.
It's like it's literally 2 dudes got the Snyder Cut delivered.
And like in both, not to belabor this forever, but in both politics and entertainment, nobody has figured out yet that this is a playbook. It is a strategy. Yes. It's basically a PR campaign called brigading.
Yes.
And
it's brigading.
Be smarter. Like, be smarter.
Get the science fiction that 3 dudes want in their mom's basement eating fish sticks.
I mean, a lot of it too is a business at this point too. We've seen. I mean, we also saw this. I don't want to get into this as a topic, but we also saw this with the Depp Heard trial. That a lot of people just wrote it to views because it's so clickable.
Well, here we go.
Like making videos, making content about it every day is a great way to get a lot of eyes on you, whether or not you have a good faith thing to say about it.
Yeah.
It literally, I saw there's this, whatever the Law and Order channel is on YouTube that I guess was the main feed of this. Just once you click on one, now YouTube's like, you got to see this forever.
Yeah. They're like, check this out forever.
It had tens of, the verdict, I don't know if it had 30 or 40 million views. It was like a modern day OJ thing.
Yeah.
But it was a streaming moment. If you think about it, true crime and jury trials from OJ and everything on, it's a big business. So this was a specific moment this is the channel. Yeah. What is it called?
Yeah. 3 million subscribers.
Law and Crime Network.
Like, who is Law and Crime Network that stole the Law and Order logo?
Some very clever folks who now are millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
How many views is that? I can't see from here, but
30 million views.
30 million views.
Like, scroll down to 4 months ago on this channel, and let's look at what their views were.
Yeah. Well, if you go to videos and you just but it's incredible. Like, this channel has just gone bonkers.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the new CNN, or what was the Law channel that broke out in OJ? I know CNN benefited from it. Wasn't there a legal channel? Law TV or something?
There was. There was Court TV.
Court TV. Thank you. Took us a minute to get there. So it's like the modern day Court TV.
It is. Right. Well, I was thinking about, imagine if Twitter and TikTok and Instagram had been around during the OJ. Like, imagine how crazy that would have been.
Yeah.
Because that went on for a year. That was not like, this was, 8 weeks of
really. And it was kind of like this too. Like, it had every aspect of society, right? It had celebrity, it had racism. It was a race,
yes. It was a police thing.
It was a police thing.
Murder,
and this had all of that too, because this was all
violence,
about a Me Too thing.
And abuse. It touches on so many of these things that there's so many people.
All the horrible things in society.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Celebrities, domestic violence.
Anyway, I just brought that up to be like, a lot of it is more cynical than I think. I think we tend to talk about these topics like everybody's a true believer.
Right.
And no, a lot of these people are just blatant frauds and they just want the views and the money. Exactly. It's just purely
that is a big part of it. Yeah. I mean, if you can get your meme game on, or you get your clip game on, you can just ride it. I know because I do TikTok every couple of days to just, remind myself how horrible humanity is, and like it just they're torturing and they're making characters out of each of the people in Johnny Depp trial. Like the one attractive attorney on Depp's side is like she's dating. They're like speculating she's like dating and in a relationship with Johnny Depp. It's like, or she's a great attorney who.
Yeah, the whole thing became reality,
moderately attractive or something.
God, gross.
The whole thing became a
just
reality
making everybody into
spectacle
characters
immediately.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
Yeah, it's American celebrity culture. I think is. I mean,
yeah. Wait till you see
the worst.
England. Wait till you see the UK.
The word right.
Totally. The Daily Mail.
You're right. It's not the. We're like the second we want to be the worst.
We're trying hard.
We're not quite there yet.
We're trying to catch up to the sun.
Okay, now we're just bumming ourselves out about.
The verdict was also interesting. Like that he won. Of course, everything gets appealed, but
both won.
She won like a tiny thing about her attorney.
I saw one lawyer talking about it where it's definitely going to be appealed because it's sort of contradictory. It's like, well, how could they both have defamed the other? It sort of has to be.
Well, it was the attorney defamed Amber Heard because he said it was a hoax.
They both like how. Anyway.
Well, it is possible, I guess, for two people to defame each other in a fight.
Normally, it would be possible for two people to defame each other, but her defamation was based on lying, and it's like, well, how could he have been? I don't know. Well, I'm saying
the whole thing is the whole thing was very weird.
The whole thing is very weird, and we don't need to get it.
Yeah, it's all gross. Yeah,
but we will talk about Star Trek next week because it is ultimately a lot more.
Get the first 5 or 6 episodes on your. It'll probably be 6 at that time. So try to get all 6.
Yes, well, by then the 6 will have debuted at midnight the night before. So
perfect. Binge.
Thank you a lot.
See you then.
See you next time.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Bye.